Good morning, Armor Down. I'm excited to be here today to share this training with you. It's always exciting to see how the training evolves. Last week, we talked a little bit about the driving force inside the self, kind of the edge of attention. And what the four bells represent is kind of recognizing the edge of attention and then pushing that edge through the present moment on its way towards the infinite edge, which is love and open-heartedness. Acknowledging the edge, recognizing the edge, moving through the edge offers us the path. The other part of that is the recognition of all the things that are pulling on that edge of attention for other things. And the basic argument for life itself is that when that edge of attention is dominated or pulled by things other than that which you choose, is a recipe for disaster. What kinds of things can pull your edge of attention away? Well, where do you want to start? Your emotions can pull you away. Your desires can pull you away. Your trauma can pull you away. And part of what I, continue to understand more and more about armor is the armor facilitates the being pulled away by kind of protecting against the awareness of being pulled away. So when the armor comes up, it's a protective measure. It makes sure that whatever's going on, wherever the edge is, it's not going to affect you. And so when kind of in my early days, the armor would come up, it would really just make the edge disappear. So if something was pulling me in a direction, I could armor up and then, just forget about it for the time being, right? So if I could forget about whatever was pulling me, I could stop whatever was pulling me, even though I didn't address the fact that I was being pulled or that my edge of attention was outside of my awareness in general. So that's what I want to kind of focus on today in the practice, and I'm going to add an element of the art of peace that kind of describes these edges outside of the context of kind of trauma and war and all this other kind of stuff, and just again look at it in the context of materialism and consumption. So I'm going to add that, and then we're going to go into the training. We're going to go into the training, and we're going to just really follow that edge of attention all the way through the four bells. So that's where we're headed today. And if you're a part of Patreon, you get to the whole experience. If not, I hope you enjoy the little bit of kind of wisdom I hope to be sharing, and we'll see how it goes. All right, so the 28th stanza of the Art of Peace describes this kind of edge of attention in the context of what to do about it. So materialism, right? The things outside you, the things that can corrupt you, call your attention, the things that you can get lost in. So your edge of attention disappears into materialism. So the 28th stanza of the Art of Peace. The only cure for materialism is the cleansing of the six senses: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. If the senses are clogged, one's perception is stifled. The more it is stifled, the more contaminated the senses become. This creates disorder in the world, and that is the greatest evil of all. Polish the heart, free the senses, and let them function without obstruction, and your entire body and soul will glow. Entire body and soul will glow. If you've been watching these kind of training videos, I mean, you can see by the end of the fourth bell, I am personally just kind of like, just totally just settled. I mean, my edge is just, it's right there. Right. I'm right present. And I'll also say that, as I have cleansed my six senses, so to speak, it's become absolutely clear that so much of my behavior, so much of my life has been kind of centered around kind of a pattern of consumption. And that pattern dominated my edge of attention. It was, here's my attention, and then the kind of the pull of all those things, right? So that kind of dominates. Well, what's happening now is that pull isn't as strong, and I'm spending far more time participating at that edge, seeing how much kind of disorder I've already created, how much disorder I'm living on top of, how much disorder I'm living within, and starting to peel those layers back, undo them, recognize them. And I've got two kids now, so I'm seeing myself, my patterns, that inattention in their behavior. So you want to talk about the evil of the world. It's not even necessarily something that is kind of malicious. It's not something that is, I'm doing this on purpose, right? This is just what happens when the power within, right? The glow of the body and the soul is diminished by kind of lesser valuable things than what you truly have inside of you. And you can see it. I mean, you can see it in your own conversations. You can see it in kind of the way you love, the way love shows up for you, courage. I mean, we're going to actually talk about what happens, what it looks like on the other side of that edge when you really are at the edge of your attention all the time, or more often than not, what that looks like over time. And that's in the art of peace. That is within the practice itself. Um, so me, I get to going on talking. All right, so let's do it. Let's go through the bells at this edge of attention. Okay. So come to the edge and just recognize what shows up. So if you just empty out and just kind of begin, where does the edge take you? Maybe it's a touch. The feeling of coolness on the open skin. Maybe it's the impact of light and shadow on you. Maybe there's an edge there. Maybe sound captures your attention and you kind of follow that. So there's a car going by on the street near me and I can follow it. The edge turns into smell. And so now I'm just studying the the pulling in of the air, curious as to what might be there. And if that edge kind of, peaks, right? It's like, oh, look at that. Then go in a little bit deeper. You press that edge a little bit, and all of a sudden there's patterns. All of a sudden there's insight into the moment. The edge keeps spreading out. There's so much to be present with. The edges of attention just go on and on and on. And first bell is kind of not confining as much as just recognizing the edge of the senses, just exploring that edge because there's a lot there. Coming to the senses. Second bell. Now guiding the edge of attention into the body, starting with the edge of touch. So the way the body is touching the ground, the weight, the organization of the legs or the organization of the feet, the organization of the rear end, the stableness. Now building on the stableness, coming into the pelvis. Inside your body is insight. So as you put your edge of attention on a region, that region will present. And so I'm reaching my tailbone to the rear, and I can feel the way different parts of my body are organizing as a result of that. Then tuck the tailbone. I can feel the spine kind of like cracking and moving. And finding the middle. Emphasizing the participation with that edge. The thing about the other stuff, the materialism, the external stuff is there's less participation. There's more of a grasping, a wanting, a consumption, as opposed to a participation. That's the insight. It's you participating with the edge of attention as opposed to being dominated by whatever's out there. It's now core. See, you're thinking layers and layers and layers here. Movement, release, open, organizing, participating. When you're participating with the edge in this calm, still, practice-oriented environment, the insight can be kind of internalized, awareness can be organized, and the practice lends itself to being able to do this in the dynamic situations of life outside the practice itself. So you come to the heart space and you're moving your shoulder blades around, moving the collarbones around, letting the torso and the ribs kind of soften and expand. Recognition of what that feels like, over and over and over again. There's some clarity around your body. You can feel things, you can see things. Your edge isn't dominated by other stuff. You actually have an edge, a honed edge. Spreading out the collarbones, shoulder blades, and the throat. There's so much diversity. There's so much uniqueness to each expression of the edge that a systematic approach, ground, pelvis, core, heart space, throat, top of the head, affords you the nuance. That nuance is what you notice. You see, like, oh, that's associated with that. And oh, if I do this, I can do that. Or oh, this way. Or I hadn't been working. Maybe I'll try this. It's a participation. It's so much a participation. Now putting it all together, top of the spine, bottom of the spine, organization of the spine. Moving into third bell. So we've gone from external to structural to internal. So that's the breath. So move the edge of attention from the outer world into the structure of your inner world and now into the inner world itself, the nervous system, the breath. That full inhale, the full exhale. Each breath represents a new experience of that inner edge. It's kind of like a wave crashing on the beach. The beach is still the beach, the wave is still the wave, but each crash of the wave changes the dynamics of the beach. So each breath changes the dynamics of your inner world. Each breath is signaling to the larger system, the central nervous system, what's going on. Without the edge of attention, with attention being wherever, with attention not being attended to, central nervous system is just responding to the thoughts. The thoughts, the desires, wherever the mind goes, the triggers, the kind of anything really. Notice how the breath can expand the body, condense the body. The structure of the body can expand with the breath. The structure of the body can move with the breath, or the structure of the body can hold, can get stuck, can just stop moving. The breath can get really small and tiny, really short and fast. But at the edge of attention in third bell, you get to participate with that system. It's an ecosystem driven by those two things, the nervous system and your relationship to it. The nervous system off on its own, doing its own thing, or your participation with your nervous system. It's an intelligent thing. It's not some just dead meat. At the top of the full inhale, My edge of attention is at that hold. The way the body is responding to that hold, the different pressures, and then the edge releases. The edge falls away and moves all the way down to the bottom of the exhale. And there the edge kind of percolates and holds as the nervous system responds. Nervous system says at the bottom of the exhale, it's time to breathe in. And the way it says it changes. So then the breath in comes. There's the participation again. The breath in is a sense of release, sense of the sense of the central nervous system saying thank you, essentially. And then moving away from the extreme in or the extreme out and into the balance between the two. It's 5 rounds. Not forcing the rounds, just kind of letting them out and in. And soothing the nervous system, loving the nervous system. Letting go of that 5th breath. And the edge is just softened out. Attention is diffuse and quiet. There's no more edge at all. It's simply presence itself, quiet presence, openness, awareness. And then we get to turn that into something. It's 4th bell. We get to turn this quiet edge into that sacred sword. And the sacred element of the inner world is love. So now the inner world, quiet, the inner world that can be pulled away by thoughts and desires can equally be kind of magnified with gratitude and love and compassion. That's the key. That's the power. It's not material. It's not stuff. It's the power of love that's always there, that can be turned on within. You see it in a loving embrace. You see it in a connection with someone. You see it when you're glowing with generosity and kindness. You know this. You've seen this 1,000 times. You turn that edge into heart. When you turn the sacred sword into love, then it becomes courage. Then it becomes loyalty. Then it becomes honor. And you can direct it. So where do you want to direct this space? Where do you want to direct your goodwill? Do it. Fill your inner world with the people that you love. Feel the inner world with your responsibilities that you take on, that you champion. Fill up with the fullness of goodwill. The nervous system is no longer this piece, it is the driver of the whole, the entire being, soul, body, mind glowing. Let's take 2 breaths to finish. Nice work.